Ethan, a school bus driver who genuinely loved kids, made sure each child got off the bus safely. As they passed by, many waved goodbyes, and he returned their gestures with a warm smile. After all the children had left, Ethan noticed a little boy heading alone down a path toward a nearby forest. Something about the boy's solitude compelled Ethan to follow him, and what he discovered left him deeply shaken. After all the kids got off the bus, they grouped together, chatting as they headed toward the school gate. But one boy walked alone, staying off to the side to avoid bumping into anyone. With his head down, he seemed to be trying to make himself invisible. Intrigued, Ethan found himself watching the boy longer than usual. Ethan first noticed the boy a few weeks ago. Unlike the other kids, who were loud and attention-seeking, this boy was different, quiet as a mouse. He always sat by the window, staring outside during the entire drive to and from school. Ethan couldn't figure out what the boy was searching for, as his expression never changed. It was as if he was looking, but not truly seeing. What could make someone so young seem so lost in thought? Ethan often found himself wondering. The boy always had a smudge of dirt on his cheek, whether morning or evening, but Ethan usually didn't involve himself with the kids beyond his job of driving them to and from school. While friendly, he kept his distance, only speaking when spoken to and letting the kids' school and home lives be their own business. Ethan and his wife, Maya, had moved to the town less than a year ago after he started working as a bus driver, though he had nearly 20 years of experience. The couple kept to themselves, but in a small town, people always took notice. The townspeople quickly noticed that Ethan and Maya, the new couple in town, were extremely private. They only interacted with the community when necessary, like on sanitation days, and never attended social events. This led to various speculations about them, ranging from being on the run to hiding as secret millionaires. Despite all the rumors, one thing was certain: Ethan and Maya stayed out of everyone's business. Although Ethan usually didn't get involved with the students beyond his duties, the little boy was a special case who tugged at his heart. After parking the bus, Ethan watched as the boy pretended to adjust his sandals near the school gate. Seizing the moment when teachers and students were distracted, the boy glanced around and quietly slipped away toward a path leading to the nearby forest. A path Ethan realized he'd seen the boy take before, but hadn't paid attention to until now. Memories of previous days flashed through Ethan's mind, and a strong urge to protect the boy arose within him, though he wasn't sure why. Determined to uncover what was happening, Ethan got out of the bus, locked it, and stealthily followed the boy into the forest. He followed from a few meters away because he didn't want the boy to know he was there. He walked leisurely behind him so that no one who saw them would suspect a thing. His efforts at concealing his presence paid off because once the boy arrived at the entrance of the forest, he disappeared into it without looking back, confident that he was alone. The looming forest ahead of him brought Ethan to a screeching halt. He gulped as he took in the sight of the tall trees and the wild vegetation beyond them. Another forest flashed before Ethan's eyes, a forest that held painful memories for him, ones he could never forget. It had been in that place that his former life had tragically ended. Ethan thought of the little boy who went into the forest and the dangers he might face. That thought infused his heart with courage, and ignoring his own trauma, he followed after the boy. Luckily, Ethan spotted the boy a few meters ahead. He breathed a sigh of relief that he hadn't lost him. Ethan kept trailing the boy, careful to sidestep roots that might trip him. The boy continued, unbothered, but the more Ethan walked into the forest, the more he felt the pain he had tried so hard to bury in the past months. All of it resurrected and choked him to the point that he stopped walking. He forced himself to take deep breaths and recited several mantras under his breath. It was a coping mechanism that he had discovered a while back. Soon he was feeling better, and he hurried to catch up with the boy. It was clear to Ethan that the boy was very familiar with the forest routes. His movements were as if he had a mental picture of where everything was. He stopped by specific trees to check on them, squatted and smiled at growing shrubs, and waved to some birds that flew overhead. He seemed at ease and at home. Ethan knew for sure that this boy must have been coming to the forest for a long time. On his own part, Ethan was familiar with forests as well, though not just this particular one. As a young boy, Ethan had joined the Boy Scouts. A lot of their activities took place outdoors. They had had different training sessions in the forest, including learning to set traps to catch small creatures, starting a fire with firewood they had collected, roasting s'mores at camp, using catapults, and so much more. Those were memories of a happier time. At 18, Ethan met his future wife Maya while volunteering at a dog shelter during Boy Scout duties. It was love at first sight, and they quickly bonded over shared interests. They began dating in their early 20s and married in their mid-20s, ready to start their lives together. Ethan remained involved in scout activities, training younger troops. A few years later, they had a son named Logan, who became their pride and joy. Unbeknownst to them, Logan was bullied at school, but kept it hidden, wanting to fit in. One day, his bullies lured him into a forest, where he slipped into a deep valley after it had rained. Though one child called for help, Logan tragically died from his injuries. This event shattered Ethan's view of children, leading him to quit his job as a bus driver at Logan's school and leave his Boy Scout involvement behind. He and Maya relocated to a new town where Ethan focused solely on his bus driving job. For months, Ethan had gone through life in a daze, but this little boy sparked a new light in him. He continued to follow him, hoping desperately that this wasn't a case of bullying. His awareness was heightened, and he constantly looked around to see if any bullies would pop out from behind the trees. That didn't happen. Instead, the little boy arrived at an area in the forest that was littered with trash. He stopped there and removed his backpack. Ethan held his breath and watched from behind a tree to see what the boy would do. What he discovered left him in shock. The boy opened his bag and started picking up trash, putting it inside his bag. Ethan watched, confused. Soon, the little boy lifted his eyes and saw Ethan, and fear flashed in his eyes. He tried to run, but Ethan gently approached him and told him that he wasn't there to punish or harm him. "Don't you recognize me? I'm your school bus driver," Ethan said. The boy nodded. Ethan squatted before him so they would be at eye level. He was careful not to get too close to the boy so as not to spook him. He spoke kindly to him, asking his name and what he was doing in the forest. The boy hesitated, but Ethan was patient. "My name is Ryan, and I'm trying to make my dad proud," the boy blurted, his eyes filling with tears. Ethan gently asked Ryan to explain, and the boy shared his story. At 6 years old, Ryan had lost his father, a scout leader who died saving a girl from a bear. To honor his dad's memory, Ryan continued their tradition of picking up trash to keep his surroundings clean, as his father had taught him. After moving to a new town and school, Ryan hated his new school because 5 kids constantly bullied him, calling him dirty and janitor man. The other students, intimidated by the bullies, didn't bother to understand why Ryan picked up trash, leaving him to do it alone without a scout squad like he had at his old school. Ethan was upset after hearing Ryan's story of being bullied despite his good deeds. Determined to help, he took Ryan to the principal, Mrs. Stepson, who knew the 5 bullies, but despite their wealthy parents' influence, took action and expelled them. With the troublemakers gone, the school's atmosphere improved. Mrs. Stepson organized a forest cleaning competition, which Ryan's class won with help from Ethan's scout expertise. Inspired, Ethan started a scout squad at the school, which became popular and helped improve students' behavior. Ethan was glad when he saw this change in them. He truly felt that his actions were honoring Logan's memory. I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.